This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Is there a sports podcast in Detroit that people are talking about?
Hey, everybody, this is Freddie Cohen of ESPN Radio. When I'm not talking about breaking news or breaking news on ESPN Radio, I'm always a fan and listen to the Detroit Sports Podcast, and so should you.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Doc and Jock Podcast. You're listening to the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. I am the Doc, John Macaroon. Joining me, my cousin, Adam, the Jock Strozinski. What's up, cuz? Looking a little bare over there. Are you having some technical difficulties? What's going on, bro?
I feel naked and afraid right now. This will be first, maybe the second podcast I've ever done without a computer. It feels so weird, so strange. It's like putting on another man's set of underwear. It's
Why?
So weird.
What's going on?
So on Tuesday night, I was working for DFN over there at the iHeart compound, because that's what it is, while board opping the Western Michigan game. So if anybody listened to that and it sounded like crap, they had an awful feed that we were getting. It was absolutely brutal. But that's neither here nor there. So while that was going on, in the background, I was streaming SmackDown, because gotta watch that for our other podcast. If you guys ever want to check out an awesome wrestling podcast, check it out, the Doc and Jock Wrestling Podcast. It drops every single Friday. It's a good show. Anyways, so I'm streaming SmackDown in the background, paying attention to that, paying attention to what I'm doing. I'm like all over the place, man. I'm in the studio. When I'm in the studio, there's like a television on with the Red Wing game. I got SmackDown going on as background noise. I'm listening to the Western Michigan game, going through, checking stuff off. All of a sudden, my computer starts freaking out. Just starts freaking out. SmackDown ends up jumping back to the very, very beginning of the show. I'm streaming it off Sling. I love Sling, by the way. It's just madness. All of a sudden, madness. So I'm like, well, that's weird. So I tried doing a couple different things to get SmackDown sorted out while I'm listening to the basketball game. I have to shut the computer down, try to restart it. The next thing you know, it's caught in this continuous loop of wanting to initialize and start. Can't figure it out. So it sends me to this little like blue screen. It's not the blue screen of death, but it's pretty damn close. It's like the blue screen of life support here. And it's like, here, troubleshoot your computer. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'll troubleshoot this while I'm doing other things. So troubleshooting it some more. And it just kind of keeps going back in this circle where it wants to initialize but doesn't want to initialize. I end up going home after my shift. I basically give the computer to my wife because she's super tech savvy. And she's like, well, this file's messed up. And we figured out what file it is. It's like 9 zeros, a 2 and a 5, and something else. And basically it's corrupted. And it's a file that Windows uses to initialize and to boot up your computer. So I'm trying to figure out how to work around this, and we've got no idea.
The first thing that I always think about is, are you able to get into the computer to basically, I know one of the first things I've had when I've had an issue with Windows is to go back and then reset the computer to a different date in the past so it functions. You tried that. Okay.
Tried it.
That's
Didn't
step one. I have no other options for you, bro.
We tried doing stuff on the control prompt screen where you start typing stuff in.
The HTML type stuff and doing it that way.
Yep. None of that worked. I don't know. So if anybody who's listening to this is a computer expert or knows somebody that's a computer expert, if you can just pass their info along to me, that would be great.
Because it's an expensive fix to take it anywhere.
Basically, at this point, it's a $1,200 paperweight. Oh. That doesn't count all of the programs that I have on here. Mind you, I've got like every Adobe program that you can think of on this computer.
But you also have the software still. You still have the discs and stuff like that that you can install into another.
It never came with discs, bro. At this point in time in life, no more discs. They got rid of those. So it is now all, you download it, and you got to have access to programs. So yeah, it's going to be a pain in the butt if I've got to get rid of this. Yeah. And the one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to scrap the Windows program, because if I get rid of the Windows that's already on here, that means I lose all that data. All of those audio recordings that I have on here, all of these programs I have on here, everything I've got going on. Basically, my life
On that
gone.
Toshiba. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
So,
because I was going to say
don't ever
here,
buy a Toshiba.
Yeah.
Never, ever buy a Toshiba.
I
I've
was
had
going to
nothing but problems.
Yeah, I was
with
going to
this
sit
thing.
here and tell you that I think it's time for you maybe to switch to the dark side and go to the other side and get a Mac.
Oh,
because
I don't know if I can do a Mac.
See, I've gone with both. I have a Windows here over my shoulder, and that's kind of done for the audio editing and things like that. But when I want to do the surfing, when I want to go out and cover sporting events, I use the Mac because I've had no problems with it. It runs, it starts up super quick. I've had the ability to go out there and cover events and do some things, and I've had no problems with the Mac. So I say that, you know what, if you're going to scrap Windows, if you've had all these problems and it's repeated, I go over to a Mac. I mean, super user-friendly. And then the other thing, too, is I don't understand, I know with files and things like that, you don't have access to the computer, but with the Mac, it automatically saves, my Word documents and things where I'm at in terms of editing and stuff like that. So it automatically saves. So I just got to tell you got to keep saving it, but if you corrupted your system there, it might just have to be a repair, $300 out the window, and get someone to dig into that hard drive and maybe take out the problem and uncorrupt the file. So you're screwed. But I would say if you're going to look for a new computer, I would say don't go to Windows at all. I would say go to a Mac. It's user friendly, super easy, quick uploads and things like that. So,
dude, this is my biggest issue with this. When I was looking for computers a while ago, before I got this one, and mind you, like I said, I've had nothing but issues with this. I've already had to replace the keyboard once. Had to sit there on tech support 2 or 3 different times with the people from Toshiba, and they suck. I was going to buy an HP. I've had every computer I've had before this that was an HP. It was awesome. Never had an issue with it. I ended up giving them away. Like gave my old computer to my mom, gave my old computer to my dad. Lorraine had an HP, gave that one to my dad. Had another computer, gave it to my sister. Like all my old laptops, I would just sit there and recycle them to other people because they worked so well and they were still in really good condition. And I couldn't bear just sitting there and throwing them away. I had an old laptop that I had, and I tried giving it away to Vinny. I was like, Vinny, here, take this. It's got a bunch of programs on it. You can use these for doing your recordings, and you can do these for editing. This will help you out. Like, take it, because I knew you didn't need it because you had the Mac. And he was like, no, I don't want it. I ended up giving it to my stepdad. My stepdad ended up using it. I should have just stuck with an HP. I'd have been better off. Yeah, I don't know if I can do a Mac. I mean, it's like trying to relearn the Bible. You went atheist, now you got to relearn the Bible. You know it's going to burn.
See, I'm saying go Mac all the way. I would say that if you have the opportunity to change and do something different, it seems like you've had a lot of problems with your computers and stuff like that.
This computer specifically, I've had a ton of problems with it.
Man.
I did have the one computer that totally freaked out on me. That was, I don't know, I don't even remember what the hell happened with that one. I think that was more me. I think I got pissed off at something and I might have broke something.
Well, so far so good. I think that you have the opportunity to spit into the microphone, the things that we're going to talk about. I mean, this week is really super easy to go into. Our podcast, you know what we're going to talk about. We're going to recap the Super Bowl. Matt Patricia on Wednesday was announced as the Lions coach. Some coaching moves have been made, some additions that some people are not happy with. We'll talk about that. And then to finish the podcast, we'll play a round of Jock Jams where, there's some things on my mind that I definitely have to get off my chest in terms of Detroit sports and nationally. And so that's how this podcast is going to lay out. But to start the podcast, man, cuz I had the opportunity to watch the Super Bowl at a bar for the first time, and I enjoyed it. It was drama-free, watched the game, sound system was good, food was good, drinks were good. I thoroughly enjoyed the contest, and like I've said in previous podcasts this week, and like I've said before, defense wins championships, but for entertainment value, offense brings the eyes, and that game was awesome. It was thoroughly enjoyable. My takeaway was, if we can get Super Bowls like that and teams that are playing at their top of their game offensively, look, I know people want to look at the other side of the ball and are critical of Jim Schwartz and Matt Patricia, and especially Lions fans. We're looking at what's going on, but I was thoroughly impressed. And at the expense of a defense, I would take that all day. It was awesome to watch. Great calls, aggressive calls, both teams going back and forth, both teams kind of responding to each other. It was a contest. I mean, I wrote down while I was at the bar, people were looking at me going like, what are you doing? And I'm like, look, dude, there's so many scoring drives. I got to keep track. Once the Eagles had it to 3-3, they never withheld. Once they got the scoring drive from Foles to Jeffrey, they never gave up the lead. And it was always kind of New England coming back. And then the people were asking and wondering, okay, how are the Eagles going to respond to the Patriots coming back? And each and every time, like we said, they stepped on the gas and they responded with great calls. They were aggressive. The fascinating part was at halftime, for me, the bar had a halftime buffet. Patriots fans kind of rolled up, and I said, so how you feeling? And they're like, oh, we've seen worse. They had no concern in the world. They were throwing them back. Once the Patriots had the ball late in the game, everyone was like, yeah, it's done. Here it is. Here's what happens. And then finally a defensive play was made. If the Lions were to win a Super Bowl, I would like it to be like that, where, look, the defense plays atrocious, and the offense just lights it up, scores 41 points, and then just when they need it, they get that interception. I like the strip sack. Michigan native Brandon Graham caused it. It was awesome, a great turnover, a great defensive play. But if that's how the Lions can get a chance to get to the Super Bowl and win it, I would take that all day. It was great. I know defense wins championships, but offense brings entertainment, and that was a Super Bowl for the ages. Top 5 all time, and in recent memory, a great game. I thoroughly enjoyed it. You walked away feeling fresh. You walked away going, yes, this is championship football. This is what it's supposed to look like. Offense, great plays, kind of each coach kind of matching each other and making great plays. And it was a great, entertaining game. I loved it from start to finish. And even some of the commercials, we'll talk about it just a little bit. Even there were some things outside of the game that got some conversation started. And that's all you can ask for at a bar or wherever you're at, is just to have some fun conversations, break balls with the crew, have some food, have some drinks, and watch a quality Super Bowl. It was one for the ages. It was awesome.
I thought it was a great game. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And you're right. Defense wins championships, and you've seen it there on that very last play when Brandon Graham stripped Tom Brady. It won the championship for them, But overall, I was so impressed by this. You had offenses that were firing on all cylinders, besides some early mishaps with the kicking games. It was an incredible game.
Wow.
It was so entertaining to watch. I sat back on the couch. I stayed at home. I didn't want to be interrupted. I just wanted to kind of sit there, chill out. It had snowed quite a bit that day, and I was just kind of not going to deal with any of it. Sat back on the couch, watched the game with the wife, and I enjoyed it, man. I loved it. I didn't take my eyes away from it. I think this was one of the first games all season where, from start to finish, I watched the entire thing uninterrupted and didn't flip around. I've got ADD like a mofo, man. Like, I've got all kinds of stuff going on. I'm always on my phone looking at stuff. You're usually tweeting me things. I love the game. From the offense to the defense to the special teams plays, the only thing that I can sit there and kind of critique a little bit was the announcing. I thought the announcing was subpar. I think Al Michaels, if he could have made a few more mistakes in like the biggest game of the year, that'd have been awesome.
That's what the big topic was at our table. Was they were saying, you know what? At some point in time, you just got to kind of move on from these older 60-year-old announcers and start bringing in some new blood.
Yeah.
Maybe not the likes of a Tony Romo, who's so into it that he's calling every play, and that act kind of wore off as the season progressed because that was his act. He's got to kind of add more to the shtick. But people were saying, look, Al Michaels is damn near 74 years old. He's got to kind of move along. Chris Collinsworth, when you get older, the mental acuity, no matter how sharp you are at football, just goes down. Like, people were saying, look, when the touchdown happened with Ertz, he was over-dramatizing it and saying, look, what is this, a touchdown or not? It's like, no, it's pretty easy.
Oh, dude.
Even if it was a fumble, he caught the ball.
Caught the ball.
It was easy. So everyone was, confused because of the way Collinsworth was presenting it.
It's probably one of the worst things about the entire season of football is every time a score was made or every time there was something that, I don't know, might have even been slightly questionable, they over-dramatized it, and it just became like we're looking at the Zapruder film. Back into the left. Back into the left. Here's where Kennedy's head just totally explodes, and now look, Mrs. Kennedy has brain matter all over her. Back into the left. And that's what it was. And it was just like, come on, man. Like, that's a touchdown. He jumped over the guy. He landed. He became a runner. Like, there were 9 different arguments you could make on why that was a touchdown. And these guys are like, no, I think it's coming back, guys. I think it's coming back. Like, what are we talking about here? That's why I lost my shit on Twitter with you. Like, come on. Are you serious? What are we doing here? I'll be so happy when the NFL decides to finally call a catch and we can stop all of this. That was one thing, too. I think the referees did a really good job here. I think the refs did a really good job letting the game just kind of go, not getting in the middle of it. If it was a catch, it was a catch. If it wasn't a catch, it wasn't a catch. And they let the play stand. They let the play on the field speak for itself, and I think that needs to be commended.
It was. I thought that in terms of the officiating, let the players play, let kind of don't become part of the story. But unfortunately, there were a couple touchdowns that were questionable. Now, the Ertz play, obviously they got the call right. but the other touchdown, I'm searching here for who caught it. It was a Philadelphia Eagles passing play, and the receiver caught the ball in his hand. He took 2 steps.
What was his name? Starts with a C.
Yeah, but
Clemens. Was it Clemens?
I think so, but I'm looking into it now.
He caught the ball, it shifted, he pegged it on the side. That one?
It was Corey Clement.
Yeah.
And so what happened was he caught the ball. The part that they could have slowed down was right when the ball hit his hands, he took the first step in. Mm-hmm. But the second foot kind of dragged and might have hit the back of the end zone. And so that's what made it controversial. It was not overturned, and it was not like confirmed. It was like basically when the referees looked at it, they said, look, we're just going to go with the call on the field. It was inconclusive. But I feel like if they made the call properly, I feel like that play right there could have been the one play where, the Patriot fans can say that wasn't a touchdown. Based on the rules, he had the ball, but once the ball hit his hands, he didn't get 2 feet down. He got 1 foot down, no problem, but I don't think that they didn't have the guts to overturn it, but I think they got the call wrong. I do think they got the call wrong. I do think based on the letter of the law, when the ball hit his hands, he got 1 foot down, but the second foot didn't get down. That it's right when if you really slow it down, if you have it on DVR, watch when he hits his hands, he gets one. That's when he gets the foot in, and then the second foot has to get down. But they were saying that his first foot got down just prior to when he got the ball in his hands.
I'd have to be able to pull it up and watch it again. And if I didn't have a $1,200 paperweight sitting in front of me, we could maybe do that. If I recall correctly, he had his first. He caught the ball, first step in. Second step, and I think what you're talking about is the third step. That one touched the line.
See, the way they were showing the replay, I think that was a second step. See,
I'd have to watch it again. I'm not 100% sure.
That's probably the only controversial play. And then to discuss the process rule.
Did it surprise you, though, that the Eagles started chasing points?
Yeah.
Like, you sat there and you go for 2 when you don't have to.
Right, yes.
You end up going for 2 again, and it would help you, but you don't have to.
It just spoke to the game plan was be aggressive.
Yeah.
And that's what Doug Peterson brought to the table, and that's what we said was the key to victory was Doug Peterson and the Eagles could not let up. They had to get as many points as possible and be aggressive, and that's why you saw in the second quarter late there on the fourth down, they called probably one of the greatest plays in Super Bowl history in terms of throwing the ball to the quarterback on fourth down late in the first half. The bar erupted. Everybody was like, wow, what a call. And that was after the New England Patriots tried it, but it wasn't effective. Tom Brady missed the pass. And so both teams were aggressive. They were going for it on fourth down. And Doug Peterson basically crapped all over Jim Caldwell's era. You know what he said? He said afterwards that if you're not aggressive, you're just asking for an 8-8 season.
Yep.
He said if you're not aggressive in this game, and like I'm a poker player. If you're the kind of person that's just going to wait for aces and kings and queens, you will never accumulate chips. Sometimes you have to shove with a pair of sevens when you think that you got a board of an ace, king, queen. You got to sometimes represent things. You got to be aggressive. In every sport, aggressiveness is paid off. And so that's why, Jim Caldwell became aggressive in year 4. Yeah, it's too late, bro. It's too late. Now you're going for it on fourth down. We've had a history of you being conservative. And Doug Peterson, and I put it on Twitter. We had a chance. You could have got him. If Bob Quinn would have just came in and blew out Jim Caldwell instead of wasting those 2 years, we could have went out and got Doug Peterson. That's the kind of move.
Doug Peterson was the guy we were talking about back when we brought Jim Caldwell here.
Yeah.
That was the guy who was on our radar.
Up and coming.
And we were discussing about.
That's what everyone's fear is that Patricia is the up and coming guy, but that's the worst of the bunch. You hope not.
I think the cool thing about Doug Peterson is he believes so much in his guys. Like, there was a reason you were on this team, and it was because Doug Peterson wanted you here and he believed in you. And you could see it when Nick Foles went to the sideline and said, let's run the trick play. Let's run the trick play. And Doug Peterson was like, yeah, let's do it. All right, go ahead. Let's do it. Like, this is the biggest moment in the biggest game for all the marbles. And you could kick a field goal. That's a smart play. That's a safe play.
Philly special.
That's the play that if you go and you open up the handbook says to kick the field goal. Instead, you go for it.
Philly special, baby.
Philly special.
Awesome.
And it's the craziest trick play ever because you're not throwing it to a wide receiver. You're not throwing it to a tight end, who your tight end is one of the best in the league, by the way. You're not throwing it to a guy who is apt to catching a football, especially out of a backfield. No, you're throwing it to your quarterback. You have a tight end throwing to your quarterback. What? Is this Bizarro land? Are we serious? And it's not even like your tight end, like Zach Ertz, your tight end. No. It's your backup tight end.
Right.
It's the guy who, when Zach Ertz gets hurt, gets to play. It's that guy who's throwing the ball. What are we doing? And it was a flea flicker, too. So you know how much stuff could go wrong with that play right there. You've got a quarterback who has to sit there, motion out of the backfield, and go and line up near the line of scrimmage. Thank God he didn't jump. You then have a running back who then has to move back into the position where the quarterback was. You have a direct snap to your running back who then motions and runs to the left. He ends up flicking the ball back as the tight end is coming around to the right, and then the tight end's got to throw the ball and your quarterback's got to catch it. What just happened here? It was amazing, dude. It was a spectacular play. You're right. It was ballsy.
It was
so ballsy.
Should Patriots fans also be angry for the Hail Mary, where people? Well, I mean, it's kind of both teams were pushing and shoving. Gronk kind of pushed off a little bit, but there you could have called holding.
In that case, you just let that.
No defensive holding.
You just let it play, man. Like, look, everybody's jockeying for position, and everybody has a right to the ball, right? As long as nobody is grabbing onto a guy and not allowing him to jump for the football, everybody has a right. There's going to be pushing. There's going to be shoving. You're playing 500 essentially. Everybody go deep. We're going to throw it up, and hopefully your guy gets it.
Yeah, it was.
I don't think you can complain.
No,
about
I don't
it.
think you can make that call there. Now, real quickly, I brought up in the past how to solve this problem. I mean, basically, what the NFL has to do to stop pissing everybody off with the catch rule is just eliminate the process of the catch.
Yeah,
real simple. If you're a runner, all you got to do is cross the plane of the goal line. Ground can't cause a fumble. Real simple. I don't understand really how this is a complicated factor. And then it's not. It's not.
The NFL has made it very difficult.
A catch is ball in hand, 2 feet down. If the runner goes to the ground, ground can't cause a fumble. That's it. There's no process.
Do you remember when we were kids? A completion was you catch the ball
2 feet down.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's it.
And then if you catch the ball, then you're a runner if you take one step.
Yep.
That's it. And you can video review that. You take one step, you're a runner. Once you are a runner, once the ball never has to hit the ground in the end zone. You just cross the plane of the goal line. You can set up LED lights on the goal line, and it lights up. And
put a chip in the ball, right?
200 LED lights across the goal line. One LED chip that's inexpensive in the football. It crosses, it lights up. Bada bing, bada boom. It's
done.
Basically, all they had to do was say, we are eliminating the process. Simple. You catch the ball and you go to the ground. The ground can't cause a fumble. So if you hit the ground with any part of your body, any part, if the feather, if a hair on your jersey hits the ground, it's a touchdown as long as you got 2 feet in. How did they make this so complicated? It pissed everybody off. You were messaging like, dude, how is it? Nobody knows what a catch is. And that's really the easiest thing. I would say
what frustrates me so much.
If you want to make it easier and eliminate all the nonsense, just make it like college. 1 foot down. Ball in hand, 1 foot down. You're in.
And I'm cool with that, too.
Yeah.
I don't understand why we have to have two separate rules for college and for pro.
Make it uniform.
No sense.
So they got to fix this because everyone's getting pissed off. Like, how do you... Okay, after the Calvin Johnson rule took place, you eliminate that. It's been 4 years. Is that how bureaucracy works, where a crappy rule takes 4 years to fix? Ball in hand, 1 foot down or 2 foot down. It's not that hard. And then you got to find a way to maybe add... The NFL is $1 billion industry. Maybe you could add another review dude so that it doesn't take 5 minutes per review. It's like, boom, it should be a minute. Touchdown, ball in hand. Dude, speed it up. Dude, I mean, maybe stop getting all the 80-year-olds to stop staring at the screen and making these calls. Get someone in there who's 25 years old. He's got, he's sharp, drinking a lot of coffee, can be like, look, hey, ball in hand, speed it up. Okay, ball in hand, 2 feet down. Okay, boom, it's done. Relay the message.
Yep.
It needs to be 90 seconds max.
That's it. And that's all it should be. If you have to look at it longer than that, there's something going on.
Something's wrong.
There's something going on.
But thoroughly, it was an entertaining game. Now, after the game, there's a lot of storylines regarding Tom Brady, his spot in history, the Patriots. Dude, I don't understand how you can hate on the Patriots. There are two teams that make the Super Bowl every year. And for the better part of the last 15 years, the Patriots are one of those teams. So you got to remember, too, that they're playing the best of the best competition. And to show up 8 times and win 5 of them, dude, you can't hate on the Patriots. You can't say the dynasty's over until Bill Belichick resigns.
Oh, I think the dynasty's over.
No, dude, now with McDaniels coming back and Tom Brady,
look,
the trio's there. Some people are saying that Patricia leaving is an upgrade, that they should have paid Patricia more to leave earlier.
Let's delve into this, okay? And I'm glad we skipped over everything we were going to talk about and we went right here. Let's talk about this, okay? That Seth Wickersham article that came out earlier in the year, there's some credibility to that. We were all kind of confused, like, is this legit? Is there something really going on? Is there not something going on? No. There's something going on. The mix isn't right in New England. And the reason that McDaniels is coming back is because Belichick's on his way out the door. Belichick's done with it. He's over all of it. I don't want to deal with it no more. And he doesn't deserve to deal with it anymore. One of the winningest football coaches in history. Tom Brady, obviously, I think it's pretty legit that he politicked Jimmy Garoppolo out of there. He's seen the writing on the wall. Jimmy G's going to be my replacement. And he was like, you know what? Hey, Robert Kraft, you know I'm your like illegitimate kid, right? I'm your adopted son. Well, you need to get my bootleg stepbrother out of here because he's really good looking, and he throws a pretty good tight spiral, and he's coming for my job. So you need to move him. Robert Kraft moves him. Who does that piss off? That pisses off the man in charge, Bill Belichick. Why? Because Bill Belichick is not just the head football coach. He's not the guy who's got to sit there and coach these guys. It's not just his legacy on the line. He's also the general manager, and he just got his toes stepped on by the owner. And no general manager ever likes being told what to do by an owner. Now, all of that, you mix in what happens with Malcolm Butler. I think you can make a legit argument that Malcolm Butler being benched cost the Patriots this football game. And the reason I say that is on third down, Nick Foles, I believe he went 6 of 7 for 137 yards, and I think they might have scored that touchdown to Jeffries on that on one of those third downs, if I recall correctly. I had it all in my notes. If I had my computer, I'd be able to tell you, but I don't. You see an issue that's going to be running through the theme of this show today. Mm-hmm. So you had all of that. On top of all of that, Rowe was picked apart by Nick Foles. I think 4 of 9 passes were caught for 80 yards plus that touchdown. Rowe was just annihilated that entire game. Malcolm Butler is a freaking game changer. He's a smart player. He knows what to do. He won you a damn Super Bowl when you played Seattle. So him being benched, I think, was a direct cause of this team losing the Super Bowl. And that speaks to a weird mix inside the room because people have come out, and it seems like it's really divided on why Butler was benched. There's guys saying that he was smoking weed and he broke curfew, and then you've got Tom Brady coming out and being like, "Look, you're best teammate ever. Love you, your family, this, that, the other thing." So weird mix there. Now you've got Josh McDaniels, who accepts the Colts job and is putting the finishing touches on whatever he's got to do in New England, getting all of his coaches in order so when he steps to the podium on Wednesday, he can sit there and say, yeah, this guy, and this guy, they're going to be my offensive coordinator, my defensive coordinator. This is what we're going to do for special teams. He's getting all of his ducks in order so when he goes up to that podium, he knows what he's talking on. And next thing you know, Belichick and Kraft have dinner. They call McDaniels into the room and they say, hey,
we can hook you up a little bit.
We're going to give you some money, and
maybe, just maybe, make you the next guy.
When Bill leaves next year, you're going to take the crown. How do you feel about that? And Josh is like, really? I get Tom Brady for another year? Tom Brady probably isn't staying around for another year. I think he sees the writing on the wall. His skills have started to diminish more and more each year. It's becoming exponential at this point. He's like, yeah, sign me up for that. I can't wait, guys. I'm telling you, bro. The dynasty's over, and there's a bad mix in New England. Gronk's probably leaving. He's considering it. I mean, you're going to have so much changeover with these guys. I was going through looking at a top 25 list of free agents because I'm already trying to put the Lions team together. We'll probably discuss that maybe next week or in 2 weeks because I've got a ton of thoughts on that because Ziggy Ansah becoming a free agent. You franchise him, just
pay the man.
Go piss in a bag. It's not a good idea. Look, dynasty's over, bro. There are too many pieces that are leaving. You got a boner who's coming back as your offensive coordinator, who's in love with the quarterback, and the quarterback seems to be going over the head coach's head to go to the owner, and the owner's getting involved, stepping on the coach and the general manager's toes.
Here's the silly part.
It's a bad mix.
Here's the silly part about how organizations work. Okay. Before, I mean, literally, we're running what we call a small business here. Okay. Now, I think you and I
got our taxes done before the paperweight.
Before you and I probably would announce anything, right? Don't you think we would just look to see if Josh McDaniels signed on the dotted line? How do you announce a press conference? How do you let the man pick his staff without assurances or what you call, a memo to agree, similar to what Schiano had prior to getting booted out. You know what I mean? A memo at least to say you are going to sign this document. You don't have that. So this happens. Now, I don't blame Josh McDaniels. He hustled the Colts, but what's frustrating is you let him bring on some staff. You let families.
Oh, they already signed contracts.
Yeah,
too. The staff. I don't understand. Look,
that's a bogus move there.
I think it's a bad setup with the NFL. I think this speaks more to the way the NFL does things.
This will never happen again. Sign your name on the dotted line.
Before you bring the staff over, make sure the guy who you're working
Seriously,
under is signed.
This is easy.
Yeah.
You got to sign your name on the dotted line, and then what happens is if you back out,
we just re-up Vito.
Yeah.
And I seen you retweet the picture. We weren't tweeting that picture unless Vito signed.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
And we're a small business.
Yeah, exactly. How does a podcast figure it out? And the NFL, with billions of dollars, announces it, and they're like, we got a press conference this Wednesday. Everything's all good. They announced it. This is our guy. They put him in the graphic. They tweeted out to their followers.
One of the best things I seen on Twitter was...
What's going on?
Chris Burke from The Athletic. He was on a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
He sat there. He had a picture of Patricia. He's like, this is still happening, though, right?
Yeah.
It was great.
People asked Dave Burkett, and he's like, no, it's signed. It's signed.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
come on.
Look, at least you got a smart GM here.
See, the problem is the tampering rules and things
Colts
like
are
that.
a mess.
No, they got to put provisions in. Organizations, if they're smart, would say, look, okay, fine. You want to pull that move, pay us $750,000. You want to pull that move, pay us. It's one of those things where it's really frustrating that the Colts are going down this road. But some people in the Colts organization and fan base are saying, good. We don't want this snake here. This guy probably would have ruined the organization. Yeah. We maybe can go get a Frank Reich, who was part of the Eagles. Dude did some miraculous things, and he might be the next guy.
Can we talk about what Philadelphia did? Mm-hmm. All right, so you have Carson Wentz. He's your number one guy. The guy who you drafted 2 years ago, and he played out of his mind great football. So much so that he was considered an MVP. If he didn't get hurt, he was probably going to win it from Tom Brady. He goes down with a blown ACL. You then have to put a backup quarterback in, a guy who was on the verge of quitting football, a guy who was cut from Kansas City. They said, you're not good enough to back up Alex Smith. He is sitting almost on his couch, and you know what? Philadelphia goes out and they say, hey, we're going to give you a shot. Let's bring you in. They bring him in, and this guy gets hot. When I say hot, I mean red hot. And they design a game plan tailored to what he does best. Not what Carson Wentz does best, but what he does best. What will put them in a position to win more games 9 out of 10 times. They develop a game plan to suit him and how he's able to call the football game. If it's a quick read, he can sit there and do it one look, and either you're running or you're throwing the ball away. If it's a play option pass, he's going to sit there and they're going to do that. They built a game plan around what he does and executed it to perfection.
Yep.
So much so that he won an MVP for the playoffs. He won you a Super Bowl, and now there's talks that he could be a legit starting quarterback in the league again. Now, I don't think it's going to happen, and if I was Philadelphia, this is just me playing general manager for Philly. If I was general manager for Philly, I would not trade him away. I don't care what the offer was. It would have to be like 3 first-round picks. That's the only way this is happening. I would not trade him away. I would keep him as my backup because you still have to hope that Carson Wentz can come back next season and be 100% recovering from his ACL. And sometimes they're a little bit slow. Sometimes they come back like nothing bad ever happened. It kind of depends. It's a tricky injury. I'd keep him. And you know, if anything bad ever happens to Wentz, you've got an ace in your sleeve because you know you got a quarterback who's willing to step in and can do the job just as good, if not better than your starter. And on top of that, if you're Carson Wentz, do you want to go anywhere else? I mean, you could basically run for mayor of Philly and you're going to win in a landslide victory. There are going to be kids that are going to be named Nicholas Foles, whatever the last name is.
Yeah,
because you won a Super Bowl and you were the MVP. I mean, you threw for what? 3 touchdowns and you caught one? Come on, dude. Yeah. And that interception, that wasn't even your fault.
Yeah, 100%. It was one of those things where, Nick Foles has a right to ball out and tell everybody, look, you know what? I had faith, and his story is amazing in terms of the fact he almost quit football.
Yeah.
He almost was like, dude, I'm out. And for Michigan State fans to kind of troll a little bit, that was a little bit weak. And that he only threw 8 passes for Michigan State. But part of me was like, hey, he still got some Spartan blood in him. And someone with Spartan blood in him defeated somebody with Michigan blood in him. So it made it a little bit extra sweet. But Michigan State can't claim Nick Foles.
Hey,
he was at Arizona. He's not a Spartan. Come on.
Total side note. Do you find it funny how people remember Tom Brady as a Michigan Wolverine?
When he couldn't get on the field, he had
right. He was benched behind Drew Henson regularly, and then when he did get on the field, he played really well. But half of these Michigan fans were like, oh, we want Drew. This guy goes to the NFL, gets drafted in the 6th round. I mean, mind you, if you go look at his 40, like him running the 40, it is awkward. It's uncomfortable. You're just like, what are you doing? Like, you got booty shorts on. Like, when you're running, if you had any big balls, they'd be hanging out the side of your leg. No, it's a bad look, bro. It's horrible. And now everybody who wears maize and blue, like, oh my God, Tom Brady, greatest Michigan quarterback. Like, dude, he wasn't nothing when he was here. Like, He was decent, but like, you didn't know he was going to become great. Like, I find it so funny how people remember things.
There were 4 Tom Brady jerseys, Michigan number 10 at the bar. Yeah. People had some love, and they were devastated. It was about 50-50.
It's so weird how they remember it.
You gonna work on that thing? Yeah, let's do it.
Transitioning here.
I see.
You think that's Super Bowl commercial?
Now
OBJ looks back. Our Twitter blew up, both positive and negative. You got Eli Manning on the screen there in the office dancing with Eli Manning. And the bar lit up. All the ladies in the bar were like chanting, and it was like a concert. You knew that.
Ladies love this song, by the way.
Yeah, I can't believe that the NFL rolled this out. And I didn't see it live, but when it came out,
Dude, we're talking about this days
Yeah.
later. So a great commercial, obviously.
It was good.
Look, my favorite commercial was the Doritos and the Mountain Dew commercial, the Fire and Ice one.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was awesome. Anytime you can sit there and you can bang Busta Rhymes in a commercial, and you got Busta Rhymes like in a photo, and you got a midget sitting there just rapping so hard, like so hard he is legit spitting flames. I'm all about it. And then Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you can put Morgan Freeman in anything. You can put Morgan Freeman in porn, and it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to see that old man bang. He'll probably break a hip. But I'll watch just because it's
Yeah.
Morgan Freeman. Why the hell not?
I felt like the best commercial, though. I like that commercial, but the best paid commercial I felt was Wendy's. And here's the reason why.
You did love the Wendy's commercial.
I did.
Like, you were like texting me about like Wendy's is so great. I love this commercial.
Yeah, there was a lot to like. I thought there was a lot
I
to
was
like.
just like, okay, LOL.
Here's a not-so-hidden gem at McDonald's. McDonald's flash frozen to seal in flavor. The iceberg that sank the Titanic was frozen too, just saying. Anyway, we're not fans. They show the nice juicy burger, fresh, never frozen beef. The hamburgers every day, so they're hot, juicy, and made when you're ready. Skip the hamburgers at the frozen arches. Head to Wendy's.
You just like the fact that they called out McDonald's so hardcore.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. I thought that
Like,
that's
lay
what
down
you do.
the gauntlet.
That's what you do is you say, look, we're better. They show the frozen patties, and it was awesome because that's what you're supposed to do as a competitor. Leave a statement. It's like, no, ours is the shit, and yours is god awful. I thought that was
Ours
awesome.
is the shit, and yours is just shit.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is.
It got my attention. I liked it.
Oh, man.
But just real quickly regarding Tom Brady, yeah, Michigan fans, they love him, but, you know,
They
he's
just
not a
remember,
Michigan guy.
They remember
Yeah.
him totally different.
Yeah.
Like, go back. He wasn't utilized like that. There were promises made to Drew Henson, and Tom Brady, as good as he might have been or as good as he probably should have been the starter, he wasn't. And Lloyd Carr made some backhanded deals with Drew, and Drew was the one who was loved and beloved by Michigan fans, even though he wasn't that great. It's funny to me.
All right, let's take our first time out. We'll come back now. We got to talk about the next head coach of the Detroit Lions. We got a chance to see what his defense looked like in the last few years with the New England Patriots. But more specifically, we got a chance to see what he did in the Super Bowl, and we'll talk about it and our expectations regarding the next Lions head coach, as he was named the next Lions head coach in a press conference that occurred on Wednesday. Stay with us. You're listening to the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. Doc and Jock here for our host site, Podomatic.com. When Adam and I first started this project, we were looking for a great place to host all of our recorded audio, and thank goodness we found Podomatic. At this point in time, we've recorded 800 to 900 weekly podcasts, and the reason why we were able to grow the network, the reason why we've earned credentials and gotten national acclaim regarding the work that we're doing here,
Watch out, Lions, we're coming for you.
is because of the fact we got a great host site. When we're done recording this, when we're done bantering and complaining about our tech gear and complaining about everything in the world of sports, we upload our audio real quick so that we can generate a link so that all of our supporters in this country and even internationally can hear what we're doing. If you're looking to start a brand new project and you want your podcast to be successful, you got to have a great host site that doesn't fail, that doesn't freeze, so that all of your supporters can upload your content. And that's the most important thing. That's the key. Your supporters have to be able to find your content on demand. And thank goodness we found Podomatic.com. All right, cuz, signed, sealed, delivered. Matt Patricia's the guy. We had a chance to watch the Super Bowl. Some people are poo-pooing that people are judging what he did in the Super Bowl, judging by the fact that maybe a decision was made over his head regarding Malcolm Butler. And the fact is that the talent that was there for the Patriots this year on defense wasn't really up to snuff, and that nobody, not even maybe Jim Schwartz, Matt Patricia, could have done more with that defense. But in terms of the fact that he's now the head coach of the Lions, we've had a chance now. If you want to look, if you want to be short-sighted and just look at the Super Bowl, you can. But if you look at it, at least from the perspective of we're getting a guy who's coached a defense that won a Super Bowl. So he's got some acclaim. He's got some cachet. People rated him as the number one choice. Now, people are being critical of maybe his appearance. They're critical of what he did in the Super Bowl and not being able to stop Nick Foles at all. People are critical, and they are looking at it. Whoa, the last thing you put on film was a performance that really stunk up the joint. And he even said himself he felt like he could have done more. What did you take away from what you saw from Matt Patricia versus the Eagles?
I don't think you should take anything away from Matt Patricia's performance and that defense's performance against the Eagles.
Go Lions! Yeah!
That's right, Jarvie. Maybe one day we'll win a playoff game. Maybe one day we'll win a Super Bowl. Maybe one day Matt Patricia will be your head coach for that Super Bowl winning Detroit Lions team. But this is why I don't think you should put any stock in what happened on Sunday with Matt Patricia and with that defense. For years now, the Patriots have been getting by with a beleaguered defense. They've been basically pulling away dollars from that defense, investing in that defense. They've been basically doing it with draft picks and with some bootleg free agents and guys who are either on the offensive side that can't necessarily play offense real good and putting them on the defensive side or just trying to basically fill it in with just random dudes. They've been, if you look at the way their team's kind of been built, a lot of that money's been either going to Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, or bringing in high-priced free agents to play wideout, or just trying to retain guys like Julian Edelman. That's where most of their money's been going. They haven't really invested a whole lot in that defense. I mean, they brought Stephon Gilmore in, and he's been basically an albatross around that defense all season long. Yeah, he played a decent game in the Super Bowl, but for the most part, he wasn't there all season, and he was getting crushed by the New England media. Now, look at what the Lions have. It's a little bit different. I think the Lions have a little bit more talent than the Patriots do. And I think when Patricia comes in, he's going to sit down with Bob Quinn and they're going to address what they need as far as what is on that defensive line, what's in that linebacking core, and what they have in their secondary. And again, I think the strength of this Lions team is in that secondary as far as defense goes. Now, as far as the offense goes, I think you got a quarterback who can throw the mess out of the ball. I think he's a little bit more agile than Tom Brady. And yeah, Tom Brady's going to go down in history as one of the greatest of all time to rival the likes of, say, a Joe Montana. You don't necessarily have that with Matt Stafford, but I think you have a guy in Matt Stafford who has all of the physical tangibles and intangibles that you need. You've got to start to, and I hate to use this word, but you got to start to put a little bit more around him. You know, you got to figure out what you can do for a running back. You need to be able to run the ball in this league. You know, I know most quarterbacks in most teams now like to throw the ball a lot, but you got to learn how to run the ball, and you got to run it at the right time. 4 minutes left in a game, you got to be able to pick up first downs, and you got to be able to do that running the ball, and you got to stay between the white lines because you got to milk that clock if you have a lead. You know, you can't just sit there and throw the ball every time because you're not going to help yourself. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to put your defense back out there, and running the ball helps spell that defense, gives them a break so they can come out a little bit more fresh.
Wouldn't you say, though, fairly, though, that the Lions defense, the roster probably is a little bit better than what the Patriots had this year in terms of potential in the secondary?
I totally believe that.
Yeah, that you can maybe, if you add to it as well in terms of the draft, is that you also got to remember, too, that sometimes we look at things in a vacuum and we say to ourselves, okay, Matt Patricia's job is going to be to lift the organization as a whole and do everything all by himself. No, Matt Patricia is going to work in tandem, hand in hand with Bob Quinn.
Exactly.
And if Bob Quinn steps his game up 10% and gets the right pieces, maybe nuts up and goes up and trades up and gets the star running back, the stud dude, and maybe makes a blockbuster move, if they work hand in tandem, if Bob Quinn steps up and Matt Patricia doesn't mess up, then you have an opportunity for success because you do believe that these two individuals know already from day one, from tomorrow's first meeting on Friday, when they sit together after the presser and they go, the first half hour is, okay, here's all the media. We absolutely will not talk to Detroit Sports Podcast. Do not follow them. Do not start any, the social media training. Do not start any burner accounts, the social media stuff. Do not sit in a room by yourself with any females. Make sure you have staff watching you. Make sure everything is on the up and up. Here are our protocols. Make sure everything is cool. Do not do this. Then the next step will be, okay, this is what we're doing in the draft. And he's going to be like, boom, boom, boom. I want this. I want that. This is the best. What are we going to do with Ziggy Ansah? It's just going to be a smooth handoff with Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia. That's the biggest plus I see, is that these two already know what they're doing.
See, I think that you're so spot on. You're hitting it. You're hitting the nail on the head. I want to congratulate you. If you were close to me, I'd pat you on the back right now. You're absolutely right. Sometimes a head coach gets too much credit, and sometimes the general manager doesn't get enough blame. And this is what I think makes this relationship so special, is they both have a previous relationship. That's the reason why Matt Patricia's here. Matt Patricia could have went to the Giants. He could have took that organization to the next level, but he came here because he knows the general manager. So I think they're going to work hand in hand and work in tandem. And you're absolutely right. If Bob Quinn can elevate his game, it's going to make Matt Patricia's job that much easier. And if Matt Patricia can sit there and do a lot of the things that he did really, really well in New England here, it's going to make Bob Quinn look like a freaking genius. So they're going to have to work together. You know, I find it interesting that Bob Quinn says that Matt Patricia can take this team to the next level. Well, what is the next level? Is the next level just winning a playoff game? Is it continuously winning playoff games? Is it getting to that point where you're now contending for a championship? Because I think it's all of these things. I think it's all of this. I think the next level for this team is being a consistent contender and winning the NFC North. Yeah. And then I think it's winning a playoff game, and then you've got to build off of that. You've got to regularly win playoff games to the point where you're competing for the NFC Championship and getting to the playoffs or getting to the Super Bowl. That must be the goal here. It has to be the goal. You have a list. It's win the NFC North. From there, win a playoff game. And then from there, compete for the NFC Championship. And then we can reevaluate next year. But that's what it has to be.
Of course, and I do believe he can get there. People are going to be skeptical because of the fact that now you have a blueprint. The Eagles, Doug Peterson did it in 2 years.
Yeah,
he did it in 2 years.
I don't think you can.
Nick Foles.
I don't think you can put those expectations on Matt Patricia.
You got to get to the postseason at least year one.
I agree with you, but I think,
or at least 9 wins.
I think looking at it, and look, Philadelphia was a complete dumpster fire because of what Chip Kelly left, the way he left it. So the fact that they were able to turn it around so quick speaks to where that head coach and that general manager met in tandem, and together were able to build that out and to do the right things. And that's what happens when you have a good head coach and you have a good general manager that see eye to eye. And I think you're going to get that here. I think 2 years, though, might be putting the cart before the horse. I'm thinking 3 years, this team will be rocking and rolling and kind of where we need to go. It's going to be interesting because you brought up Ziggy Ansah. I think this team will make a huge mistake if they franchise Ziggy Ansah. He's looking to make roughly $17 to $17.5 million if they franchise him. I think you can do some things a little bit different, and this is what I kind of wanted to talk about next week, but we'll kind of preview it here. I think you'd be better off letting Ziggy go, or at least test the waters, see what he gets, then franchise him for, $17 million when his value is really somewhere closer to $10 to $13 million in that ballpark. I think you bring back a guy like Haloti Ngata, who says he wants to come back and play another year, sign Haloti Ngata to a 1-year deal, probably right around $5 million, $6 million. You got your meat in the middle. That defense was totally different when Ziggy was playing as opposed to when he wasn't. If Vita Vea is there in that first round, I think you go get your big lineman, your guy who's going to learn from Haloti Ngata and take his place. I think with that kind of filling up the middle, you can then do something with A'Shawn Robinson, because I think A'Shawn's a good enough player. And maybe I'm crazy here, but I think A'Shawn Robinson is a good enough player and he's athletic enough to where you could do something like you do with James Harrison, where you use him to set the edge. You put him on the outside, use him to set the edge. I know he's normally a defensive tackle, but you can use him to set the edge, and then you go in your second round and you get your running back.
Some people with the addition of Matt Patricia are concerned a little bit in that, one, you're keeping Jim Bob Cooter, and two, some of the assistants have been named, and the defensive coordinator was named earlier on Wednesday, Paul Pasqualoni, a name that's, when you heard it, you were like,
I got some concerns.
Some program directors on the radio, some people that have been affiliated with the Miami defense, in which he was the defensive coordinator, have come out and said, oh, this dude, in terms of his defense, is kind of underwhelming. But when you told me your disappointment, I said to myself, well, look, Matt Patricia is going to be in charge of the defense. I do believe that Pasqualoni will be like a figurehead, but in the end, if it goes south real fast, you know that Matt Patricia will just make the calls. It won't be, I don't think, where if Pasqualoni makes really bad calls, that it won't be where his leash is that long, because Patricia's the defensive wizard.
Right.
You think it's going to be his defense and his philosophy, and yes, I do believe that if there are calls made that aren't going to be right, you do believe Patricia's going to go out there and make the calls.
Right. You made me feel better when we started talking about it, but looking at his track record, in the NFL, the guy's basically been a defensive coordinator for like 2 or 3 years, like with Miami, and then he was there for a year, and then he was with the Cowboys for I think like a year and a half, maybe 2. So doesn't give me a whole lot. I'm going to be really interested to see what happens with what Matt Patricia wants to run. Does Matt Patricia want to run a 4-3 or does he want to run a 3-4? I still have concerns about that because I believe, if history serves me right, when he took over his gig as defensive coordinator with the Patriots, I believe at the time they were still running a 3-4, and then he switched it around to run a 4-3. So what's he going to want to do here in Detroit? You know, if you do lose Ziggy Ansah, right, you lose your edge rusher. Does that force your hand, and does that then make you have to switch to a 3-4 when you really wanted to run a 4-3? Or do you want to come in and you automatically want to run a 3-4? Or do you want to leave it a 4-3? What do you want to do? So I think that's where I'm really interested to see what he wants to do as far as this defensive front, and what does this defensive coordinator want to run, and what does he feel that this team has the utilities, the pieces to run to make the defense work the way he wants it to work. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see how the next couple of weeks play out, and to try to get a grasp and a gauge on what they're looking to do here, because there's just so many questions still. You know, that's the one thing that sucks about getting a head coach from a organization that's so good that they made it to the Super Bowl. Other teams are already game planning, and you kind of already have an idea and a feel of what they're doing. We have no idea. We're just dipping our toe in the water right now.
What level of excitement do you have now in terms of seeing the big picture? You have Matt Patricia here in the organization. Do you think that the Lions, the tandem of Matt Patricia, Bob Quinn, should fans listening, should they raise their hope that maybe we can get a Super Bowl for this organization, that we can party and climb up poles that are greased and bring down the Ritz-Carlton awnings and things like that? Can we, eat horse excrement and do some things that are wild? I mean, because if that's the bar that Philly set, Detroit could beat that in a celebration. Oh my God, dude, we could do a lot more.
Flip police cars and set them on fire?
No fire is needed, dude. We'll bum rush Comerica. Listen, Comerica Park will be open. Ford Field will be open.
Ripping up seats.
Dude, we could climb the roof at LCA. We could do a lot of things. You could have a lot of fun, dude. You have the casino. You could light up. I mean, you literally, in that D district, you could have so much fun and do some things. We deserve it, right? But can we get our expectations up? Because all I say is cautiously optimistic, and everyone's reading into my tweets and is like, no, I go back and forth. Like, every hour I change. I'm like, I'm really excited. Then I hear the presser, and I'm like, well, okay, he's going to be serious and have a solid tone, and he's not going to give us much. He's going to be like Bill Belichick. And then the next minute, I'm like, okay, you know what? We got Stafford. He's 30. We got this. So I'm a fan. I go back and forth. But the best thing to do is be cautiously optimistic. I do believe it's a good tandem. They should work together. That schedule is going to be tough. The NFL's tough. But if you get that running back, you make the right moves in free agency in the draft, the league is set up for you to win 8 to 9 games. It can't be that hard.
I think if you're a fan of the Detroit Lions, cautiously optimistic is a good way to be. I myself am excited. I don't know if I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm excited. It's almost palpable for me because I want to see what Bob Quinn's going to do with this head coach and what this head coach is going to do with Bob Quinn.
Real fast, though, just the thought just popped in my mind. Sorry to interrupt you. Do you see a scenario in which Jim Bob Cooter calls a play, hand the ball off to Eric Ebron, he rolls out and throws the ball to Matthew Stafford? You know they're going to try and copy it. And you know what Ebron's going to do? Stafford will be chucking, running into the end zone wide open. Ebron will throw the ball into the stands. And he'd be like, no, he's wide open. You missed him. It's like, Ebron,
Yeah, I could see that happening.
Right?
I really could.
Right?
Just because of Eric Ebron. That's why. I could totally see it happening.
Exactly.
But I'm excited. Yeah, and I think if you're a Detroit Lions fan, you should be excited because you've got guys now who are legit football minds. And that being said, not to take anything away from Jim Caldwell, but I don't think Jim Caldwell ever gave anybody a comfort or you really felt secure with Jim Caldwell at the helm. I think with Matt Patricia coming in and with Bob Quinn here, they're of the like mind and they know exactly what they need to get this football team to that level where you can win the NFC North. And I think that's where it all starts. If you win the NFC North, you go out and you can rock and roll and you can get by the likes of a Minnesota and you can get by the likes of a Green Bay who will have Aaron Rodgers back next year. I think you're in a really good spot to really cause some damage when you make it to the playoffs. But you have to take that first step, and taking that first step is winning the NFC North. You've got to be able to contend with the likes of Minnesota and the likes of Green Bay. And once you can do that, I think it's hats off, pants off. You can do whatever you want. But I am excited because I want to see how this draft plays out, because I think this draft is going to really set the tone for Matt Patricia's tenure here. You go out, you hit a couple balls out of the park in the first couple rounds of this draft. Maybe you move back, maybe you move up. There's so much flexibility in what they can do. and they have so many different holes that they need to fill right now that they're going to have to go out and they're going to have to address it in not only the draft but in free agency. So depending on who you bring back and what you bring in, and you mix in whatever this draft class is, I think this team could be in a spot to really contend and really compete next season. And that being said, I don't know if you're gonna make it to the Super Bowl next year. I don't think that's gonna happen. Like I said, I think you're 3 seasons away before that really becomes a legit expectation for this team. But I think you have enough on this team right now, and you go out and you bring some extra pieces in where you're going to make it difficult for almost every team in the NFL. And I think Matt Patricia is a good enough head coach, or will be a good enough head coach. I don't know what he's going to be, but I believe he will be a good enough head coach that you're going to make it difficult for a lot of teams, and you're going to scare a lot of guys, and you're going to be good enough.
All right, let's go, baby. It's time. It's draft season. We'll start looking at some mock drafts each and every week.
Oh, yeah, next week,
Yeah,
man.
baby.
Next
we'll start,
week.
and maybe we'll come up with our own. Hell, why not? Everyone else is doing it. We can have 5, 6 versions of mock drafts if we can be wrong. Shoot, like I said, if Mel Kiper can throw out 12 mock drafts and none of them are right for the last 15 years, shoot, Doc and Jock can do the same thing, right?
That's right.
No doubt.
That's right.
We'll come back. We'll finish this podcast with a round of Jock Jams. I got a lot of questions to ask the Jock, and he's ready to deliver. Stay with us. Thank you for your continued support. We greatly appreciate it. This network could not be the media entity it is without your fine support. And that means all the downloads, all the clicks to our website, DetroitSportsPodcast.com, all the tweets to our Twitter pages. You can follow Adam at AdamRSTROZ. Follow the network at Detroit Podcast, the most interactive Detroit sports Twitter page, guaranteed. We read everything, we respond, we mix it up, we ask the great questions. We thank you for your continued support. Each and every week, we have an opportunity to banter, to release great podcasts, to keep the microphones hot and the studio lights on because of your fine support, and we greatly appreciate it. Continue to find us across the various platforms that you can find podcasts, and continue to click through our website, DetroitSportsPodcast.com, for all your online shopping needs, getting Detroit sports tickets, anything like that, and to support those who support us by clicking through the sponsor and supporter tabs. Thank you so much. This project is going places. We thought 2017 was huge. 2018 is shaping up to be a very fine year. Checking the email every morning has been fun. Each and every day I get to share what's going on with Adam, and it's a great and fun time. Thanks to your support. Keep it up. DetroitSportsPodcast.com. So, Cuz, are you into the new revamped WXYZ American Idol?
No.
No, me neither.
No.
I haven't watched one single second, but very interesting. I heard it a couple weeks back. Detroit Lions wide receiver Marvin Jones got the golden ticket when he sang an R&B song by Tank. Is this a big deal? Little deal? No deal? I found it funny, but I thought it was more newsworthy that he got that tribal tattoo on his neck. Come on, Marvin. You can't be doing that kind of stuff. Dude, a tribal tattoo on your neck? That big? But dude's trying to expand his horizons because he knows that a career with the Lions is probably going to end up short. His ass is going to get cut pretty soon. It's not likely to build a career off of being a Detroit Lions football player. So dude's trying to roll up and be a singer. You down with it?
1997 called. They want their tattoo back. Look, I think this is like a little deal. Like, I think it's cool, right? And I was able to go and I was able to hear him sing, and I thought he did a really good job.
Oh no!
But I think it's a little deal, right? Like, this isn't going to win you a Super Bowl, and this isn't going to win you the NFC North. And is he going to win it? Is he going to win the whole damn thing? I don't know. I don't think so. But I think it's cool. I think it's interesting. I guess he's got like a recording studio in his house.
Sure, why not?
He talked about it, I think, last season with one of the beat writers. I don't remember who, but I think it's interesting, man. I think it's cool, and I think you're right. He is looking to broaden his horizons. Apparently, tribal tattoo art is not on the list because that's a bad tattoo. But I think it's cool. It's not going to make me want to watch, though, and I'm not going to tune in. I'll just kind of keep tabs on it by reading the newspaper.
Gotcha. Detroit basketball, baby. Is it back? A week into the Blake Griffin experience, have your feelings changed about the Pistons? They're balling out. They're playing better. Some guys are stepping up. Ish Smith is out there doing his thing. I'm liking what I'm seeing. He hasn't had that thunderous dunk yet, but dude can do a lot of different things. He has come in, and I think that he's done a good job. He's actually brought a spark. I mean, Twitter's blowing up with seeing Kendall Jenner. You got people actually going to LCA with the hopes of seeing a Kardashian. Come on now. They're out and about in Birmingham. He's bringing a little bit of that LA swagger to the Pistons. And look, is it a move that's going to help them win it all? You probably got to make another move, but at least a week into it, it's paying dividends, don't you think?
I think so. And here's the thing. It's not going to change my feelings long term. Long term, I think this is going to be a disastrous move because I think you gave too much up, and I think you could have got more in return by getting a couple
I'm realistic, bitch.
That's right, I am. But short term, I think it's a great move. You can see it on with the energy that this team's playing with. The one thing I like is he's bringing some leadership. There are times where he'll go up and down the court and he'll look to make a play. He's not selfish. He'll look to pass the ball and make a play that way. There's other times where he'll just take it right to the rack and he says, come on, you want it? Come get it. And he'll dunk on you. I also like the fact that when something happens and it was a mistake and it was his fault, he'll go up to a guy like Ish Smith. This happened the other night. He'll go up to a guy like Ish Smith and he'll say, hey, look, my bad. That was on me. You know, you don't see superstars do that. Could you ever imagine Kobe Bryant doing something like that? Kobe Bryant's going to cuss you out because he messed up. You know, so I like seeing Blake do that and kind of take some of that leadership and ownership role. So I think it's working out. If you just look at the numbers, I think offensively they basically have gone up 9 points a game. I think they were scoring like something close to 102 points every single game leading into the trade, and then after the trade they're somewhere near 111. I mean, 9 point difference. One guy brings 9 points. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Exactly.
So I think this team looks like they're having a lot more fun. I think Andre Drummond looks much more comfortable. I think that's the big key right now. Is Andre looks much more comfortable. You got to remember, it's a lot of pressure when you're the star of the team, when you're the face of the franchise. I think Blake coming in kind of shares that spotlight, if not takes 3/4 of that spotlight. So Andre can kind of be a little bit more comfortable in his own shoes, go out and do his own thing. On top of that, I think defenses now have to worry about Blake being on the floor, and that takes a little bit of attention off of Andre and allows him to get free and kind of play more his game. So I think short term I like it a lot. I still think long term is going to blow up in the Pistons' face.
Should they make another move? Is it possible with what they have? I mean, I just think that maybe you just got to roll with Kay Felder. You got to roll with the guys. I mean, it was surprising one of the players they traded for got suspended for a domestic violence thing. Didn't hear anything about it until it was announced. So maybe they're investigating and things like that. Obviously, the Pistons had to be aware of it. But is there an opportunity to make a move for a wing or somebody that can help this team out without giving? I mean, you basically can't give up a first rounder. So what can you realistically get in return anyway?
I don't know what you can get. Again, you got to remember, you're right up against the luxury tax. So
if get Reggie Jackson back.
So if Gores is cool with paying the luxury tax, you can go out and you can maybe make a little bit of a splash. But you got to remember, you got so much money tied up and invested in such a few amount of players, it's going to be difficult to go out and grab somebody. I do think that Stan's looking to make a move, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was able to bring somebody in. I think, was it Rodney Hood from Utah is really high on his list right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was able to kind of pull that off, but I don't know what you give up to get him. I mean, unless you're giving up Reggie Jackson, I don't know if you can swing it, because you got so much money invested in 3 guys. It's going to be hard to really pull anything off. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does, and if he doesn't, I wouldn't be surprised. Is that a little bit of a cop-out? I feel like it is, and I'm sorry if it is. It's just they've got so much money locked up with Reggie and with Andre and with Blake. I don't know if you've got the flexibility to really go out there and pull a guy in who you're looking to maybe be that third superstar, your big 3. I don't know if you have the ability to go out and do something like that. So it'll be interesting to me to see if they're able to pull it off. But again, Stan does what Stan wants to do, and he has no problem mortgaging the future. So if he promised you the next, 3 years, first-round draft picks for a guy, I'm sure somebody will make that deal. You know, and I'm sure Stan will do it because Stan believes he's got to win right now, and he doesn't care about the future.
Now, I'm very fascinated in that you're one of the rare individuals I can banter with regarding college hockey. It's one of those things that not a lot of people talk about until they get to the Frozen Four. You know what I mean? It's kind of one of those sports that people should dig into a little bit more, but they don't. But you're going to go check out what's called the Duel in the D, where the University of Michigan takes on Michigan State at LCA. What are you expecting from this? And fill me in a little bit. What's going on with Michigan State college hockey?
So every year, me and my cousin tend to go to this. He usually gets the tickets. He's like, hey, you want to go with me? And I'm like, duh. What I'm looking forward to is going to be my first time at LCA.
Okay.
So it's kind of me popping my cherry. I'm going to experience it all. You've been a few times.
Yep.
So when we shut the mics off, I'm going to ask you what I should probably do and what I should look to do. So I really just want to kind of take everything in. I have the 24th, I'm going to the Red Wings game with my dad, and that was supposed to be my first opportunity to kind of go around and really take it all in together with him. So I'm going to feel a little bit dirty when I go with him on the 24th because I'm going to have to act super surprised when I see
going?
everything.
When is it due on the D?
Saturday. So I really just want to experience everything downtown. I really want to take that whole LCA experience, getting there, enjoying everything, kind of the whole atmosphere. As far as the hockey game goes, I don't know if this is going to be a good game because this is a really down year for both Michigan and Michigan State.
That's the vibe I've been getting.
Yeah, Michigan State's not very good this year, and Michigan isn't much better. The one thing I found really interesting, and I didn't realize this, so if you follow any of Big Ten hockey is kind of it's funny. We'll just say it's funny. Originally, there were only 6 teams in Big Ten hockey, just because other schools don't have hockey teams. So it was Michigan State, it was Penn State, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and who's the other school? Oh, Ohio State. So those were your 6. At some point, Notre Dame joined the Big Ten to play college hockey.
Oh, they did.
I did not realize this. And Notre Dame has a very good college hockey program, like very, very good. And Notre Dame is basically kicking everybody's ass in the Big Ten right now. So I don't know if the Big Ten is hating this or not, but I found that to be really interesting when I was going through looking over some things. I didn't even realize that they joined. I had no idea when they joined the Big Ten. So I got to do a little bit more research there. But I'm expecting. Look, it's a good game because it's a rivalry game. What's even more fun is everybody in the stands because there's a lot of college kids there. You get to drink beer, so there's a lot of drunk college kids there, which is even more fun. And it's going to be a rivalry game. So you'll usually get to sit next to somebody who's interesting. I'm a Michigan fan, so I'll probably get stuck sitting next to some Sparty, and we'll go back and forth for a little bit. And it'll be a good time. So I'm expecting probably not a good game on the ice, but I'm expecting a great atmosphere, and I'm expecting a good time.
No, I think that I can tell you now, you're going to like the atmosphere at LCA. You're going to like the experience of being there. But the thing that I think I want you to kind of get a grasp of is, can an average person, after they go once, do they have enough to go back twice? That's the thing. I think that it was a good conversation I had when my in-laws, your Chacha, went out there, and it was really cool. They liked it, but they said outside of bars and restaurants, outside of a lot of great quality food, once you see it once, what's going to bring you back other than the quality of the team that's there?
Right.
And so that's the thing that people are complaining about is, and actually a fun, interesting point, and actually a point of reference that, my mother-in-law made that was really good was the number that was announced that was spent, let's say $700 to $800 million. Nobody that goes there really believes that you got $700 to $800 million worth of stuff there. Mm-hmm. There's not nothing overwhelmingly great to do other than stuff your face and get plastered. The building is nice. The seats are okay. It's configured in a modern way. But when you think of spending $700 to $800 million in this day and age, you want the bells and whistles. You want something. You want to be able to maybe have like a photo booth or something that's really extraordinarily different. Like, yeah, great, you can charge your cell phone. Yeah, great, you can take some pictures and see yourself on an HD screen. But for the average person, what would they like? Is there maybe a video game stand? Is there something that, people can do with Snapchat or Instagram or something with social media? There's not a lot to do in terms of the in-game experience when you go there. And you're going to see that. It's like, okay, great. Nice bar, nice restaurant. Next thing, nice bar, nice restaurant. Oh, next thing, nice bar, nice restaurant.
It's a lot of copy and paste.
It's a lot of the same thing. And so I think what people are saying is, and the reason why there's so many empty seats night in and night out is, after you see it once, there's nothing really special about seeing it twice.
Do you think that a lot of that money that they had invested in building this complex was put into the suite area?
Yeah.
So the areas where the average fan can't get or go.
Exactly. And so the thing that people are saying is, when you say you spent that much money, it has to be like over the top. It has to be something special. And so people have seen it before. I mean, you can go to Somerset and get high-end stuff and go see nice, expensive things. But outside of food and drink, there's not much that, at least Comerica Park has a carousel. You know what I mean? You could put like you know what I mean? You could put literally, if you think about it, you know what? You could put zip line from one end to the other. You know what? Something different.
Yeah.
So, like, you know what I mean? An experience. Something way different to draw you in more than once. Oh, my God, I got to go to LCA, ride that zip line from one end of the building to the other. Something extraordinary for the price that was spent. People are like, dude, if you spent that much money, people don't feel like they got the value because you're spending a lot more to go to the game. You got to pay a lot for parking. You got, a lot of expensive places to eat. But after that, for products that are on the ice or on the basketball court, most people don't feel like $300 and at the price of the stadium is worth it. Great. The one time you go, I think it's great that you're going to a hockey event where the prices might be a little bit lower, and then you can kind of take in the experience of seeing the things, seeing all of the architecture and the design of the building. It's great. But after that, I think you're going to come back and tell me what is there really to do there besides stuff your face and get plowed.
Do you think that in the summer it'll be a little bit different? Because don't they have an outside beer garden?
But
But it's kind of weird because unless you're playing playoff hockey or you're playing playoff basketball, you're not really. The weather isn't conducive to those.
But that's not new, bro. You can go to any bar and sit outside.
That's true.
Any bar in Metro Detroit, you can sit outside and have a cocktail and have someone blasting music. It's nice. It's cool in the summertime. That's fine. But what are the summer events besides basketball? I mean, concerts and wrestling.
You get a few basketball games, but again, you got to be playing playoff hockey and playoff basketball to really utilize something.
But I'm interested. I don't want to taint your review. I think your first time you'll be wowed by being there. It's really nice and things like that. But go with it with the notion of what would make me come back twice.
I got you.
And maybe you will. Maybe because of the fact that I'm going there and just looking at the prices of the food and stuff like that, I maybe missed some things. But I feel like I've gone through and seen some things. But you'll tell me.
Yeah,
all right?
I'll let you know. I'll keep you posted.
All right, very good. Good stuff, sir. Great round of Jock Jams. I enjoyed it. Very good stuff. I think you brought the noise. Everything went very well. Great stuff, sir.
Awesome, dude.
Thank you, everybody, for downloading. Greatly appreciate all the support. See everybody next week. Go Lions. It's that time. Finally, Lions, deliver to us what's so rightly deserved. We need a championship. Fly, Lions, fly, damn it.
Fly, Lions, fly. Isn't it roar, Lions, roar?
Okay, yep. Roar, Lions, roar. I can amend that. Let's go. See everybody next time.
And all I can say is Detroit Sports Podcast scores.
I have voices in my head. They counsel me. They understand. They talk to me.